Back in 1978, Superman blew audiences away with its special effects and epic story. Costing a whopping $55 million, it was one of the most expensive films ever made at the time. No surprise, Superman became a pop culture legend. Since his comic book debut in 1938, the Man of Steel has been everywhere. Different actors have played him over the years, but sadly, some of the cast from that original 1978 movie have passed away. Sadly, over the years, several of the key actors from Superman that have passed away, and only a few are still living. Was it in curse or just a natural cause? Let's find out. Trevor Howard as First Elder. Trevor Howard was a top-notch British actor who started out in the 1940s. He was known for playing charming officers and gentlemen, but later became famous for grumpy characters in charge. His big break came in the movie Brief Encounter, where he starred opposite Celia Johnson. This got him noticed worldwide and led to him working with famous directors like David Lean, Luchino Visconti, and Joseph Lucy. But his most successful collaborations were with director Carol Reed. In The Third Man, Howard played a police officer who kept a cool head under pressure. He also played a complex leading role in An Outcast of the Islands. Sadly, he died January 7, 1988. Cause of death, influenza and bronchitis. Lee Quigley as Baby Kal-El. Lee Quigley played the baby Kal-El in the 1978 Superman movie, making him the first non-American actor to portray Superman, even though it was a baby. Interestingly, another Brit, Henry Cavill, would later become the first non-American actor to play Superman's adult form, Clark Kent. Lee filmed his part in Superman at just 7 months old. He lived with his grandparents in Langley, Eastbourne, England, after his parents split up. Lee tragically died in March 1991 at the age of 14 after inhaling solvents. Sam Wanamaker as David Warfield. Sam Wanamaker was a respected actor with a distinguished look and strong political views. Before hitting the big screen in 1948, he'd already made a name for himself on stage in Chicago and Broadway, directing and acting as well. During the McCarthy-era's Red Scare, things got tough for Wanamaker. He appeared in a movie directed by a blacklisted Hollywood director, Edward Dmytryk. Fearing trouble for his own beliefs, Sam left the U.S. for England. Despite the challenges, Sam Wanamaker never gave up acting and directing. He appeared in many films and TV shows throughout his career, including The Spiral Staircase, Private Benjamin, and even Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. Sadly, Wanamaker died of prostate cancer in London on December 18, 1993, aged 74, before the grand opening of the Globe by Queen Elizabeth II on June 12, 1997. E.G. Marshall as president. A New York acting legend, E.G. Marshall started on Broadway in classic plays like The Skin of Our Teeth and The Iceman Cometh. He moved to movies, but it wasn't until a decade later that he really hit it big. Films like The Caine Mutiny, and especially 12 Angry Men, made him a star. The Defenders only ran for 4 seasons, but it was so popular that they even made reunion TV movies decades later. E.G. Marshall was a respected actor who worked in theater, movies, TV, and even radio. He was a beloved character actor for over 60 years. Marshall died of lung cancer at his home in Bedford, New York on August 24, 1998, at age 84. Marlon Brando as Jor-El. Marlon Brando, who played Superman's father Jor-El in the 1978 film, faced many personal tragedies. His son Christian shot and killed his half-sister Cheyenne's boyfriend in 1990, leading to a 5-year prison sentence for Christian. Brando himself admitted he felt he had failed his children. Sadly, his daughter also took her own life in 1995. These events likely contributed to Brando's later withdrawal from public life. He passed away in 2004, just a few months before his Superman co-star Christopher Reeve. Remarkably, footage of him from the original film was even used in the 2006 sequel, Superman Returns. Christopher Reeve as Clark Kent, a.k.a. Superman. While he, like other actors who played the superhero, struggled to find other leading roles after being so identified with the character, Reeve's life took an even more dramatic turn in 1995. A horseback riding accident left him paralyzed from the neck down. Despite this setback, Reeve became a strong advocate for spinal cord injury research and continued to act in his wheelchair. Sadly, Christopher Reeve passed away in 2004 at the age of 52 from complications related to his injury. Maria Schell as Vaughn. Maria Schell was a beautiful actress who starred in many international films from the 1940s to the 1960s. Her career peaked in the 50s with acclaimed performances in movies like The Last Bridge and White Nights. As the 60s arrived, her leading lady roles dried up. She took a break from acting for a few years but returned in character roles. Maria Schell passed away in 2005 at the age of 79. She was the sister of actor Maximilian Schell. John Hollis as fourth elder. John Hollis was a busy British character actor who appeared in many popular films throughout his career. He started out in TV shows like Charlie's Angels and The Boy in the Plastic Bubble before moving on to movies. Sci-fi fans might recognize him from appearances in Flash Gordon and the Star Wars sequels The Empire Strikes Back and Superman 2. He even returned to the role for Superman's fourth outing, Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. John Hollis's career spanned over 40 years, and he continued to act until the early 2000s. William Hootkins as Harry Howler, a Texan-born character actor, brought his booming voice and theatrical background to life on screen. He was a natural in fantastical worlds, playing memorable roles in sci-fi, adventure, and superhero films. Star Wars fans know him as X-Wing pilot Jack Porkins in A New Hope. He also faced off against Jack Nicholson's Joker in Batman and helped set Indiana Jones on his adventure in Raiders of the Lost Ark. While some of his films weren't box office smashes, Hootkins earned a dedicated following among fans of cult classics like Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, and Biggles' Adventures in Time. Sadly, William Hootkins passed away from pancreatic cancer in 2005 at the age of 57. Richard Pryor as Gus Gorman. Richard Pryor, a comedian who battled drug addiction, brought his humor to the 1983 superhero film Superman 3. He played Gus Gorman, a villain who ultimately switched sides and aided Superman. Pryor met actress Pam Grier through comedian Freddie Prinze. They began dating when they were both cast in Greased Lightning. Grier helped Pryor learn to read and tried to help him with his drug addiction. Pryor married another woman while dating Grier. Sadly, Pryor was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis just 3 years later. He passed away from a heart attack in 2005 at the age of 65. Glenn Ford as Pa Kent, solid, sturdy, and competent. Glenn Ford didn't crave awards or seek the spotlight, but for over 50 years he was a reliable presence on screen, a steady hand guiding countless films. Ford himself said he wasn't acting, he was just being himself, and somehow that honesty translated into a career filled with iconic roles. He was a box office powerhouse in the 1950s, yet happy to fix the plumbing in his own mansion. He brought a quiet strength and easy charm to every character, from the seductive Gilda to the rebellious Marlon Brando in The Tea House of the August Moon. He shone in film noirs and tackled tough subjects like juvenile delinquency in Blackboard Jungle. Later, he brought warmth and gravitas to Pa Kent in Superman. When Glenn Ford passed away at 90, he left behind a legacy of unpretentious excellence. He was a true Hollywood leading man, a steady presence who never let the lights get in his way. Don Fellows as General and Leven Hornsby. Don Fellows, an American actor who built his career in Britain, played a memorable role in the Superman franchise. While his part in Superman 4: The Quest for Peace wasn't a starring one, his portrayal of General Leven Hornsby added depth to the film's larger story. Fellows was a seasoned actor with a long career. He brought his skills to various characters on stage and screen, making each role, even brief ones like this, impactful. Don Fellows passed away in London in 2007 at the age of 84. Helen Horton as Miss Henderson. While not the lead, Helen Horton's performance as Miss Henderson in Superman 3 left a lasting impression on audiences. This role was just one of many for the American actress who enjoyed a long career in British and American theater, radio, and television. Horton was known for her versatility and dedication to her craft. Throughout her decades-long career, she brought a variety of characters to life on stage and screen. Sadly, Helen Horton passed away in 2007 at the age of 84. Susanna York as Laura. British actress Susanna York captivated audiences in the 1960s and 70s with her striking beauty and nuanced performances. She brought a unique, ethereal quality to her characters, often portraying complex women with both vulnerability and inner strength. Films like The Killing of Sister George and They Shoot Horses, Don't They? Showcased her talent. She even played Lara, Superman's mother, in the 1978 film Superman. While her later career focused more on television and theater, Susanna York remained a favorite among moviegoers. Sadly, Susanna York passed away in 2011, but her captivating performances ensure her place in cinema history. Jackie Cooper as Perry White. Jackie Cooper melted hearts in classic films like The Champ and Treasure Island with his good looks and emotional acting. Unlike many child actors, Jackie's career thrived even after he grew up. He continued acting in TV shows and movies, even appearing as Perry White's editor in Superman the movie. But Jackie Cooper wasn't just content in front of the camera. He became a successful director and television producer, helming shows and even working as an executive. From his adorable childhood roles to his long career behind the scenes, Jackie Cooper left a lasting mark on Hollywood. He passed away in 2011 at the age of 88. Phyllis Thaxter as Ma Kent. As the daughter of a Shakespearean actress and a Supreme Court justice, she was surrounded by the performing arts from a young age. Following in her mother's footsteps, she debuted on Broadway at just 17. Her film career started with a promising role alongside Spencer Tracy, but a medical condition unfortunately cut it short. This didn't stop Phyllis Thaxter, though. For over 40 years, Thaxter graced the small screen in nearly 50 different programs. Even after retiring in the early 1990s, her legacy as a talented and determined actress endured. Sadly, she passed away in 2012 at the age of 92. Larry Hagman as Major. Larry Hagman could boast not one, but two indelible characters during his storied acting career. He started on stage and landed small roles in TV shows. Then came his big break. The charming astronaut Major Anthony Nelson on I Dream of Jeannie alongside Barbara Eden. After Jeannie, Hagman explored other roles, some more successful than others. But in 1978, everything changed. He became J.R. Ewing, the ruthless oil baron on the mega-hit soap opera Dallas. Hagman continued acting after Dallas, but his health and the projects he chose kept him from reaching the same heights. Sadly, Larry Hagman passed away from cancer shortly after this triumphant return. Richard Griffiths. British actor Richard Griffiths enjoyed a long and distinguished career, both on stage and screen. He excelled at both Shakespearean roles and comedic characters. He was a familiar face in his native Britain, where he performed with the Royal Shakespeare Company. Audiences worldwide were introduced to him in the cult classic With Neill and I as the unforgettable Uncle Monty. A new generation got to know him as the grumpy Uncle Vernon Dursley in the Harry Potter films. He brought the character to life in 4 of the movies. Richard Griffiths remained a beloved character actor in Britain throughout his career. Sadly, he passed away in 2013 at the age of 65. Neill as Ella Lane. For many moviegoers who grew up in the 1950s, Neill will always be Lois Lane. She brought the tenacious reporter to life opposite George Reeves's Superman in the classic TV series The Adventures of Superman. Even though she retired from acting after the show ended, Neill remained a beloved figure in the Superman universe. She was even brought back to play Lois Lane at the age of 85 in the 2006 film Superman Returns. Throughout her career, Neill left a lasting impression on fans. She passed away in 2016 at the age of 95. Robert Vaughn as Ross Webster. Robert Vaughn was a captivating actor who could play both the good guy and the bad guy with equal brilliance. His career spanned 5 decades and included iconic films like The Magnificent Seven and Bullitt. While the roles he was offered weren't always top-notch in the later years of his career, Robert Vaughn never lost his charm. He found a way to shine again in the British series Hustle in the 2000s. Robert Vaughn's charisma and talent left a lasting impression. He passed away in 2016 at the age of 83. Clifton James as Sheriff. It's uncommon that someone can say that he worked with more than one of the actors who portrayed James Bond in films, but Clifton James is one of the few who can make such a claim. James would continue to secure roles in such popular films as Silver Streak and Superman 2 before appearing in the hit 1987 film The Untouchables, which featured original Bond actor Sean Connery. James continued to add to his acting resume in the ensuing decade, but by the early 21st century, he was landing roles much more infrequently. He died from complications of diabetes on April 15, 2017, aged 96. Margot Kidder as Lois Lane. Margot Kidder, who played Lois Lane, is exactly opposite from Christopher Reeve in the Superman films, struggled with bipolar disorder throughout her life. In 1996, she experienced a manic episode that led to her disappearance for several days. After being found, she received treatment for her illness. A public breakdown in 1996, where she disappeared for days experiencing a manic episode, brought the condition to light. Following treatment, Kidder became a strong advocate for mental health awareness. Despite her struggles, Kidder continued acting and even guest-starred on shows like Smallville. Sadly, Margot Kidder passed away by suicide in 2018, Al Matthews as fire chiefs. Before the bright lights, he was a tough Marine who served in Vietnam. Back in the States, Matthews decided to try acting. He started out in the late 70s with small roles, but by the 1980s he was appearing in bigger films like Ragtime and Superman 3. His big break came in 1986 with the sci-fi action movie Aliens. He played Gunnery Sergeant Apone, a character so memorable that it inspired a video game hero. Matthews even got to reprise the role for a video game in 2013. Matthews also had a music career and even had a hit song in the UK in the 70s. Sadly, Alexander Basil Matthews passed away in 2018 at his home in Spain. He left behind a life that was both action-packed and creative. John Bluthal as Pizza Vendor. John Bluthal, a versatile actor with a career spanning 6 decades, is remembered for his role as the pizza vendor in Superman 3. His character, though not central to the plot, provided a moment of comic relief in the film, which is a testament to Bluthal's comedic talent. Bluthal's pizza vendor is a humorous addition to the Superman universe, showcasing his ability to engage audiences with even the briefest of appearances. His performance remains a fond memory for fans of the series. John Bluthal passed away on November 15, 2018, at the age of 89 in Sydney, New South Wales, Australia. Shane Rimmer as Naval Transport Commander. Though he had a prolific career on both sides of the Atlantic, Canadian-born actor Shane Rimmer is perhaps best remembered for the voice he gave to pilot Scott Tracy in the cult classic TV show Thunderbirds. Even though his screen roles were often small, he never stopped working. He appeared in iconic films like Star Wars and Superman, and kept busy on British television shows like Coronation Street. Rimmer continued to act and lend his voice to characters well into his 80s. He passed away in 2019 at the age of 89. Annie Ross as Vera. Ross started out by performing in television specials like Lady Day, The Many Faces of Billie Holiday, and films like The Player. She also contributed music to movies like The Night of the Following Day. Throughout her career, Ross balanced acting and music. She appeared in films like the critically acclaimed Shortcuts and documentaries about jazz legends. Ross composed music for films like Deconstructing Harry, and her work was even featured in recent films like Carol. Annie Ross passed away in 2020 at the age of 89. She left behind a rich legacy in the entertainment world. Marcus D'Amico as Willie. British-American actor Marcus D'Amico captivated audiences with his portrayal of the endearing Michael Mouse Tolliver in the PBS miniseries Armistead Maupin's Tales of the City. D'Amico's career began on the stage, playing the lead in a London revival of Oliver. He continued in musicals, even performing on roller skates in Starlight Express. He transitioned to film with a small role in Superman 2. However, his acting career took him to Los Angeles, where he eventually stepped away from the spotlight for a time. Marcus D'Amico passed away in 2020 at the age of 55. He will always be remembered for his charming performance in Tales of the City. Ned Beatty as Otis. Ned Beatty carved a niche for himself playing unforgettable characters in films like Deliverance, Network, and Superman. While his number of hits slowed down later in his career, Beatty continued to take on diverse roles. He often played friendly, middle-aged men, well-meaning public officials, and later even big-hearted grandfathers. This earned him a reputation as one of Hollywood's busiest and most beloved actors. Ned Beatty passed away in 2021 at the age of 83. He left behind a filmography filled with memorable performances that continue to entertain audiences today. Gavin O'Herlihy as Perry White. Irish-American actor Gavin O'Herlihy is best remembered for his role as Brad Wilson in Superman 3. While not the iconic Perry White, Brad Wilson added a layer of conflict to the story as Superman's rival. O'Herlihy's performance brought depth to the character, creating a dynamic tension within the film's narrative. He proved his talent by captivating audiences with his portrayal of this antagonist. Sadly, Gavin O'Herlihy passed away in 2021 at the age of 70 in Bath, Somerset, England. Anthony Sher as Bellboy. Acclaimed as a brilliant British stage actor, Anthony Sher wasn't a household name everywhere. While he dominated the UK stage for decades, he remained largely unknown to American audiences. Despite his US obscurity, Sher did appear in several noteworthy films. He took on the lead role in Shady and impressed audiences again in The Young Poisoner's Handbook. Anthony Sher was in a long-term partnership with director Gregory Doran. They entered into a civil partnership in 2005 and later married in 2015. Sadly, Anthony Sher passed away from cancer in 2021 at the age of 72. He left behind a rich legacy of theatrical performances and a successful partnership with director Gregory Doran. So that's it, everyone. Gone but not forgotten. These Superman stars left a mark. Share your favorite memories in the comments. See you next time.